The film Grease is popular, but the set conditions were not ideal. One sequence filmed in the extremely hot California summer left the performers feeling sick. The heat from filming in a gym without air conditioning made some cast members sick. The problems continued. Behind the scenes, anecdotes of Grease are as compelling as the picture itself, from surprising casting changes to on-set romances and rivalries. Did you know that John Travolta had to battle to preserve one of the movie's most famous songs? Or that Olivia Newton-John nearly turned down her part because she worried about fitting in? These intriguing facts reveal the unseen tales that created Grease, a classic, and why fans love it. John Travolta was a fanboy. It's been stated that Olivia Newton-John captivated John Travolta during the early days of Grease production, and she was aware of it. Fortunately, he calmed himself, and the two ignited a genuine spark on screen. They wanted the king. Elvis would have been ideal for a part in Grease since the movie takes place in the 1950s. At first, the producers intended to have him make a brief appearance that would serve as a throwback to his King of Rock days. Frenchie was supposed to hear Elvis perform the part of the teenage angel singing Beauty School Dropout. Frankie Avalon played the part since Elvis was sadly too busy to visit the set and record the song. Danny Close-Up. While most of his cast colleagues loved working with John Travolta, a few reports imply he was a touch more than self-centered on the set. For instance, Travolta was displeased that Sandy would have an animated ending and wanted to be on screen as much as possible. He strongly objected to the choice, arguing that a close-up of his face was necessary for the song to conclude. Ultimately, he prevailed in the dispute and was pleased with the result. Cleaning it up. Although many of us fondly remember the movie from childhood, there was a lot of controversy around it when it was originally released. At the time, a lot of the speech and issues were seen as obscene. The original stage musical had to be cleaned up since it was much more ridiculous than the film. Even though the film was still far cleaner than the previous workshop, the producers were shocked by how much of the picture escaped the film board's restrictions. The raucous subjects at hand appeared to be obscured by all the dancing and music. Getting dirty. Kaneki racing down Thunder Road in a refurbished Greased Lightning is one of the most thrilling sequences in Grease. Your heart will stop at the sight of the automobiles speeding over the ocean. But that water was very filthy and tainted. As a result, several cast members were ill after coming into contact with the water. Fortunately, everyone made a complete recovery. Sucking it in. Sandy transforms into Danny's ideal bad girl near the movie's conclusion, complete with tight leather trousers, red lipstick, and a seductive top. 40 years later, the style is still recognizable. You may not be aware that the costume designer did not supply the skin-tight trousers. Olivia was the one who had taken them out of the back of her closet instead. Olivia claims that she felt uneasy the whole time they were shooting the scene, regardless of where they came from. Let's talk about packing them in. Ageless actors. If you saw Grease as an adult, you probably observed that these high schoolers seem considerably older than today's teens. This is mostly because most cast members were in their late 20s or early 30s when it was shot. At 33, Stockard Channing was the oldest member of the team. Dinah Manoff, who was 19, was one of the few real teenagers in the film. They all seemed well for their age, but it's obvious that they need to be more young to be Letterman. Hoping for Carrie. Carrie Fisher rose to fame in her breakthrough role as Princess Leia in our beloved science fiction story not long before the cast of Grease was announced. Producers soon began to hunt for her to play Sandy in the Grease movie. Ultimately, however, they chose Olivia Newton-John because they thought her vocal performance was the greatest fit for the part. Older than she looked. Given that Olivia Newton-John was already 28 years old, she was apprehensive to take on the part of Sandy. It had been 10 years since she had graduated high school, and she thought no one would think she was a senior. She was eventually persuaded to try out for a screen test and was cast. Upon seeing the video again, she concurs that portraying a persona so young was relatively easy for her. Homage to Elvis. Elvis unexpectedly died while Grease was being filmed, shocking everyone. Because the legend was so well liked in the era in which the film was set, even though he declined the part in the film, the filmmaker still wanted to honor him. The phrase, "Elvis, Elvis, let me be," was inserted so Elvis could appear in the movie. In the song, "Look at Me, I'm Sandra Dee," they even placed an Elvis poster on Rizzo's bedroom wall behind her. Leaving a trail. The makeup artists put much effort into creating realistic-looking wounds and bruises throughout the movie. But when Rizzo finally showed up for class, complete with that unsightly stain, they discovered that their assignment had already been finished. The role of Rizzo's intermittent lover, Jeff Conaway, was performed by the actor himself. Furthermore, Stockard Channing had no qualms with letting him go full vampire on her neck. There's a Grease cast curse. Grease, which launched its performers into unprecedented levels of stardom, continued to be one of the most well-liked movies released in the 1970s. Nevertheless, rumors of a curse started to surface in the years after the 1978 premiere of the movie, since so many members of the cast, crew, and production team met with tragic deaths. The cast of Grease has been under a dark shadow since 2020, when Ed Burns, best known for playing Vince Fontaine, tragically became one of the many casualties, passing away at 87. The well-known Sandy, Olivia Newton-John, fought gallantly against cancer and confronted the enigma surrounding her lover Patrick McDermott's abrupt disappearance in June 2005 while out fishing. The captivating Danny Zuko, John Travolta, suffered from emotional traumas such as the death of his son Jet after a seizure and the breakup of his lover Diana Hyland. John Travolta attempted to cure the director's foot infection with Scientology. Even though John Travolta is now acknowledged as a devout follower of Scientology, the organization wasn't as well known when he started acting. He was only starting to learn about Scientology when he was shooting Grease in the late 1970s. He picked up some of the strange therapeutic methods used by the sect at this time. On the Grease set, Travolta used these Scientology healing techniques for director Randall Kleiser's foot illness. The illness, which occurred from tainted water during the drag racing sequence, was severe enough to cause production issues for the movie. Travolta intervened, using the touch assist method of Scientology to try to heal Kleiser of his illness. There's more to the curse. Other cast members and staff members were similarly horrified by the Grease curse. Cancer claimed the lives of both Annette Charles, who played Cha-Cha Di Gregorio, and Joan Blondell, who played Vi. Producer of the movie, Alan Carr, died tragically from AIDS. Before he passed away, Jeff Conaway, the man responsible for bringing Kaneki to life, battled drugs and sickness. More tragic deaths to add to this litany of catastrophes. Dennis Stewart, well remembered for playing Craterface in the film Grease, likewise met a terrible end. He played Danny's adversary, Leo, who went by the moniker Craterface because of his acne. Stewart, then 46 years old, was infected with HIV in 1993 and passed away from AIDS-related complications a year later. An accomplished actor's journey came to an end when his corpse was burnt and his ashes were dispersed, with the sea serving as his ultimate resting place. Leaving America, headed to Oz. Sandy was destined to play the all-American girl in the original theatrical version of Grease because of her last name, Dombrowski. However, once Olivia Newton-John was cast as Sandy, the producers felt they had to rework the script. Newton-John's character name was altered to Sandy Olsen to maintain a more global feel while retaining her most recognizable feature, her Australian accent. It would now be incorrect if someone other than Olivia Newton-John portrayed Sandy, since audiences adored the modifications. Lucy said no. However, there were other candidates for the Sandy part besides Olivia Newton-John and Carrie Fisher. The casting director was also thinking about Lucy Arnaz. Given the reputation for their acting and singing, Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz, her parents, it seems that she would be cast in the role. Nevertheless, Ball declined the offer on Lucy's behalf since she didn't want her daughter to appear in the movie. Playing all characters. Everyone thinks of John Travolta as the original Danny Zuko, but when he performed in the Broadway production, he filled in for Duty. Meanwhile, Jeff Conaway, who portrayed Kaniki in the film, began his Broadway career as Danny's understudy before taking over the part. The film also began careers for several superstars, such as Richard Gere and Patrick Swayze. Getting cut. Grease followed the pattern of most films that are based on stage musicals. Many edits and alterations were required to make it suitable for the large screen. New songs were composed to showcase Newton-John and Travolta's skills properly, and numerous Broadway hits were removed from the film. Hit songs from the film and the original songs that were omitted are now included in the Broadway revival of the show, which happened recently. Let's get uncomfortable. Danny Zuko and Kaniki Murdoch were planned to embrace in one of the movie's scenes. As endearing as it may seem, neither actor agreed with the screenplay when it said this kind of salutation would fit the characters of the Greasers and the period. The performers and authors argued over how the characters should introduce themselves to one another. Ultimately, the guys were seen on camera giving a clumsy half-handshake, half-hug combination. Somehow this awkward sequence made it into the final edit. Blurry background. Looking closely at the backdrop to see these hazy lines would be best. If you do, you'll see that certain sceneries obfuscate specific backdrop elements. Why? Coca-Cola was the subject of a contract. However, the contract fell through after the sequences were shot with all the Coca-Cola signs in the backdrop. The team was forced to blur the Coca-Cola logo out of the backdrop as there was now too much video previously taken to start again. They deserve the credit too. If you take the time to watch the credits of practically every movie, you will notice a list of anonymous characters at the conclusion. Though Grease handled the credits a bit differently, you undoubtedly read parts like police officer, man pushing shopping cart, or old lady on porch. No matter how little the part, they ensured each performer, singer, and dancer had their name included in the credits. So you can watch for some characters like Moose, Bubba, and Bart the next time you see the movie. Hilarious Greasers. The T-Birds were three members of Danny Zuko's crew. Putsy, Duty, and Sonny were among them. The three were well known for their absurd antics, awkward dispositions, and general foolish selves. You're correct if a trio like this sounds familiar. The Three Stooges served as an inspiration for the Grease filmmakers as they developed the trio. The three performers were instructed to pay tribute to the slapstick comedians with their acts. A simple finale. The iconic musical finale's catchy song, endearing lyrics, and fast dancing leave a lasting impression. Actually, You're the One That I Want greatly influenced the movie's success. The song and dance may be difficult, but the cast and crew didn't need to practice it for weeks. Instead, John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John found it easy to shoot the famous sequence. The two of them hit the sequence in a single afternoon. A tribute to James Dean. Though it seems out of place for bad guy Danny Zuko, Travolta's blue shirt in the first scene is an homage to the late James Dean. The enamored youngster is thinking back on his summer relationship with Sandy Olsen, and even though he may be concealing his actual identity, there's no denying that he is deeply in love with Sandy and that their emotions are sincere. The side effects of injury. Jeff Conaway, who portrayed Kaniki Murdoch, began abusing prescription medication after suffering a back injury while shooting a Grease dance sequence. He said that his dance-related injuries from the movie are what caused him to acquire unhealthy habits later on. Thankfully, he understood he needed to work through those issues and got assistance in a rehabilitation facility in the late 1980s. After fighting his addiction for years, he met an unexpected end in 2011. Other injuries on the set. The Pink Ladies were the ones who had issues with Cha-Cha, even if the majority of Rydell Hyde didn't like her. Annette Charles portrayed the girl from Over the Tracks, and there were rumors that she was Danny's former girlfriend. Although she portrayed a strong figure on TV, in real life, she struggled with major health issues. She even went off set one day to go to the ER, where it was quickly discovered that she had an ectopic pregnancy, a potentially fatal illness. The Fonz turned down the role. From 1974 until 1984, Henry Winkler portrayed the renowned bad boy Fonzie in 11 seasons of Happy Days. He appeared to be the ideal choice for a part as one of the T-Birds, so producers would contact him when it came time to choose Danny Zuko for the 1978 Grease film. Because he didn't want to be remembered for the rest of his career as a guy who solely played bad boy roles, Winkler decided to decline the job. He's bigger than he looks. Whether you realize it or not, a person's height greatly impacts how you see them. Producers thus make every effort to give the impression that the lead character is far taller than they are. As a result, the makers of Grease instructed Jeff Conaway to stoop next to John Travolta to make him look shorter. Despite being 2 inches taller than Travolta, Conaway and Travolta seem more equal in the film because of this desire. Dance sick. Although the Grease actors had an obvious connection, it wasn't chemistry that heated things up during the Rydell High dance sequence. The number of extras and cast members moving about in such a tiny space caused the set to reach 116 degrees during the sequence. Everyone was rapidly approaching the threshold of heat exhaustion or dehydration. As a result, several extras became ill due to the high heat and required medical care. Hoping for Oscars. Of all the nearly omitted songs, Olivia Newton-John's performance of Hopelessly Devoted to You would have been the most tragic if it hadn't been included on the big screen. Fortunately, someone spoke out and acknowledged the music's true beauty, ensuring the moving and impactful tune remained. Indeed, Hopelessly Devoted to You was the sole song to get an Oscar nomination. Musical distractions. You probably don't believe the language in the 1970s is that horrible compared to many movies now, but it was a different era. However, when the film was released, the makers pushed the envelope for the times. They were also questioned about how they managed to get away with using such lewd language, provocative song lyrics, and skimpy outfits. They retorted that the movie's enticing songs and rhythms were too much for anybody to miss. Scene that made the cast sick on Grease. The dance contest scene from Rydell High School made Grease actors ill. During a blazing summer, this crucial sequence was recorded over many demanding days at Huntington Park High School's gymnasium. Without air conditioning, the gym became an oven as temperatures rose to terrible levels. The severe heat and incessant dancing taxed cast members in heavy, period-accurate clothes. The intense heat and humidity wore them down rapidly. Due to severe temperatures, several cast members were dehydrated and heat exhausted, needing medical assistance. Heavy clothes, constant dancing, and hot temperatures produced a perfect storm of misery and disease. The performers and crew overcame these obstacles to convey the colorful energy and enthusiasm of the dance contest. Despite being difficult to shoot, this sequence became one of Grease's most memorable. The finished scene showcases the cast's effort and endurance, creating a thrilling scene that fascinates spectators. The dancing contest sequence shows how the Grease performers overcome great adversity to make a memorable film. The hand jive ordeal. If you wanted to learn how to execute the hand jive nowadays, it would take a few hours to master a YouTube lesson. But things were harder for the Grease starters. Despite how easy and enjoyable it seemed, it was a lot of labor. It took over a week to complete the shot they wanted since so many performers and dancers in the scenario needed coordination. Conaway had a crush. When you put a bunch of teenage performers together for months to shoot a movie like Grease, things can become heated both on and off screen. Although Sandy was meant to be Danny Zuko's on-screen partner, Jeff Conaway's Kenickie had serious feelings for Olivia Newton-John. Olivia, however, didn't feel the same way about Jeff, so she arranged for him to meet Rona Newton-John, her sister. The couple wed in 1980 and separated in 1985. Stockard Channing as Rizzo. Stockard made her television debut on Sesame Street and had previously performed in Broadway productions before she was hired for Grease. She was 33 when she landed the part of Rizzo, for which she won the People's Choice Award for Best Supporting Actress in a Motion Picture. She acted in the films Sweet Revenge and Silent Victory after Grease. At the close of the 1990s, she made her NBC television series debut as First Lady Abbott Bartlett, for which she won an Emmy for Outstanding Supporting Actress. For her performance as Judy Shepard in The Matthew Shepard Story, she was honored with a Screen Actors Guild Award and another Emmy. She has been performing in theater again since around 2010, when she took part in the production of Other Desert Cities, for which she was nominated for a Tony Award for Best Performance. Barry Pearl as Duty. Barry Pearl had many TV series appearances before landing the part that made him most famous, that of Duty, a T-Birds member. His humorous demeanor left a lasting effect on the cast members of Grease. Following his role in Grease, he appeared in other TV episodes, including Criminal Minds, Beverly Hills 90210, ER, Baywatch, and House. In addition, he participated in the tour of Barney's Big Surprise, where he reprised his role as Professor Tinkerput from the television program Barney's Imagination Island. His many appearances in Broadway musicals and motion pictures, including My Favorite Martian and The Newest Pledge, have also made him well known. In 2016, he appeared surprisingly as Mr. Weaver in a TV special for Grease, live on Fox. Pearl has taught film arts to children with special needs throughout the United States at Joey's Travolta Summer Film Camp. Eddie Deason as Eugene Felsnick. Although Eddie Deason is a stand-up comedian and actor, he was last credited with a film in 2016. Deason's first acting role was in the movie Grease, where he mostly had a supporting role. The character would get a pie in the face in one of the main sequences. Deason would play the same role in the 1982 follow-up, Grease 2. Deason would also go on to make appearances in Johnny Bravo, Darkwing Duck, The Facts of Life, Magnum P.I., Goof Troop, Recess, and True Monsters. In Dexter's Laboratory animation, Deason also voiced Mandark, Dexter's main adversary. Susan Buckner as Patty Simcox. Before starring in the musical Grease as high school cheerleader Patty Simcox, Susan Buckner won the title of Miss Washington. She advanced to the finals of the Miss America pageant in 1972. She also participated in the Croftettes, a group of synchronized swimmers, on the Brady Bunch Hour. Following the success of Grease, she starred in the movie Deadly Blessing and TV shows like The Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew Mysteries, Starsky and Hutch, BJ and the Bear, and When the Whistle Blows. Susan has been quiet ever since, appearing just once on an episode of 1 vs. 100 in 2007 as a mob member. In addition to her work in entertainment, Buckner directed youth theater at Pinecrest Elementary School in Miami. Frankie Avalon as Teen Angel. Frankie Avalon was already well known as an actor and singer in the U.S. before his part in the musical Grease. Venus and Why, two of Avalon's 1950s tunes that peaked at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 lists, were smashes. Avalon would portray Teen Angel in the musical Grease, a figure that manifests as a dream to Frenchie. Although he was ideal, Avalon wasn't the first pick for the part. The king of rock and roll supposedly had Elvis scheduled to play the part, but he died a year before the film's premiere. Before Avalon was recruited, Donny Osmond of Donny and Marie fame was also in line to play the role. Since leaving the show, Avalon has had cameos in Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Full House, Happy Days, and Grease. Jeff Conaway as Kaniki. Even before the movie came out, Jeff Conaway spent 2.5 years working as Danny Zuko's understudy before taking over the role on Broadway. Conaway joined the film's cast to play Danny's closest buddy, Kaniki. In addition, Conaway has been in the television series Happy Days since 1975. He had also made 2 more films by the time Grease was released. After receiving notice, he was chosen for the American comedy Taxi and appeared in the show for 3 seasons. Additionally, he appeared on television shows such as Babylon 5, The Bold and the Beautiful, and Wizards and Warriors. Conaway's lengthy battle with drug misuse resulted in the loss of his taxi job and his appearance in 2 seasons of Dr. Drew's Celebrity Rehab. 2011 saw his death from sepsis-related pneumonia. John Travolta as Danny Zuko. When he went on for Grease, John Travolta was already a well-known Hollywood celebrity thanks to his success in the TV shows Welcome Back, Kotter and Saturday Night Fever. Travolta had a hit in the top 10 of the Billboard chart and was already nominated for an Academy Award when he performed his impersonation of Danny Zuko. Following his performance in Grease, Travolta starred in Pulp Fiction, directed by Quentin Tarantino, for which he was nominated for another Academy Award in 1994 for his portrayal of Vincent Vega. However, his career did not end there. He went on to play important and successful roles in films like The General's Daughter and Get Shorty. His most recent appearance in a movie musical was in Hairspray when he played Mrs. Edna Turnbald. Serving as Robert Shapiro in The People vs. O.J. Simpson, American Crime Story, was another well-received part. Travolta has a long list of impressive acting roles. Olivia Newton-John as Sandy Olson. Olivia Newton-John was a well-known singer who had many successes before the film Grease. She is said to have asked for a screen test with Travolta before taking the part, since her acting talents had not yet been shown. She became the second woman to have more than 2 songs in the top 5 list at the same time when 3 of her hits from the movie's performance landed in the top 5 of the Billboard chart. She was nominated for a Golden Globe for her performance as Sandy Olson and invited to participate in the 1979 Oscar Gala. Olivia Newton-John launched the Olivia Newton-John Cancer and Wellness Center. She became a champion for cancer after receiving a breast cancer diagnosis after the release of her second album in 1992. Olivia resumed her musical career after Grease. Didi Khan as Frenchie. She made her acting debut in the 1960s, appearing in the film You Light Up My Life the year before the film Grease was released. She had a role in Grease and Grease 2. Following Grease, she appeared in Benson, Shining Time Station, and The Practice. Didi has also participated in celebrity guest game programs, including Go, Chain Reaction, and Match Game. She debuted in the 2016 Fox special Grease Live, making her the only actress to have roles in all 3 of the franchise's film versions. She was 67 when she competed in Dancing on Ice, making her the oldest competitor in program history. A well-known activist, Didi was appointed the 2008 Autism Speaks spokeswoman. She has also participated in benefit performances organized by the Foundation for Educating Children with Autism. Sid Caesar as Coach Calhoun. He was well known for his live television shows Caesar's Hour and Your Show of Shows, which impacted comedians in the following years. He received 2 Emmys and 7 nominations for Your Show of Shows. Throughout his career, he earned 11 Emmy Award nominations and the moniker Comedian of Comedians. After playing Coach Calhoun in the original Grease, he starred in other movies, including It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, Vegas Vacations, and Silent Movie. Caesar also appeared on television, including Late Night with Larry King and Saturday Night Live. In addition to his work as an actor and comedian, Sid Caesar wrote many novels, played the saxophone, and wrote 2 memoirs in which he detailed his battle against years of alcoholism and barbiturate addiction. Aged 91, Sid Caesar passed away in 2014. Dennis Cleveland Stewart as Leo. Actor and dancer Dennis Cleveland gained notoriety for his performance in Grease as the Scorpions gang leader. He performed in the musical Pete's Dragon before this one, albeit he was uncredited as a fisherman. Stewart also appeared briefly as Starkey in Chips. Following his role in Grease, he danced in Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band and acted in movies such as Cop, Elvis, Zoot Suit, DC Cab, and Fatal Charm. Cleveland was a member of the Grease 2 cast as well. In addition, he appeared in a few episodes of TV shows like MacGyver, The A-Team, Moonlight, The Greatest American Hero, Chips, and Parker Lewis Can't Lose. Stewart was given an HIV diagnosis in 1993, and an AIDS-related pneumonia a year later claimed his life. Eve Arden as Principal Greta McGee. Eve Arden had a wealth of experience in the film and television industries before she landed the role of Principal Greta McGee in Grease. In 1937, she performed in the play Stage Door, and for her performance in the movie Mildred Pierce, she was awarded an Academy Award in 1945. For her performance as Miss Connie Brooks in the television series Our Miss Brooks, she made history by being the first female to win a Primetime Emmy for Best Lead Actress in a Drama Series. In the follow-up, Arden would play Greta McGee again before quitting acting entirely a few years later. Before her passing in 1990, Arden's last motion picture appearance was in Grease 2. At the age of 82, Arden died in 1990 from a heart attack. Joan Blondell as Vi. Actress Joan Blondell began her career in theater many decades before her Grease appearance. Blondell was often chosen for the main role because of her exquisite appearance, and she received nominations for her roles in Opening Night and The Blue Veil. Blondell portrayed Vi, a waitress who works at the Frosty Palace with Ellen Travolta, the sister of John Travolta, in the film Grease. One of Blondell's last acting jobs would be in Grease. Blondell allegedly concealed her deadly leukemia diagnosis from everyone, including her close friends and family. Blondell would pass away from leukemia a year after Grease opened in theaters, and 2 years after her death, her last performance was staged. Alice Ghostly as Mrs. Murdoch. The only other female character who worked with the T-Birds on the greased Lightning vehicle was Mrs. Murdoch. Ghostly appeared in other significant motion pictures as well. She portrayed Mrs. Singleton in The Graduate and Stephanie Crawford in the Harper Lee adaptation of To Kill a Mockingbird. In Bewitched, Ghostly would also portray Esmeralda. Following Grease, Ghostly had several guest appearances on a broad range of television programs, including Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Rugrats, Hercules, and Punky Brewster, Real Monsters, Touched by an Angel, and Passions. Ghostly had many strokes and was afflicted with cancer before passing away in 2007. Jamie Donnelly as Jan. In addition to being in the stage production of Grease, Jamie Donnelly was the only cast member to be able to repeat her stage character, Jan, on screen. At the time Grease was shot, Jamie was 31 years old, and her hair had already begun to grow gray, so she had to color it to continue looking like Jan. Jamie's roles as Magenta and the Usherette in the Rocky Horror Show made her well known before Grease. She worked in films like Family Affair, Monk, and Ray Donovan after Grease. She was in the Broadway production of Roxy and the musical adaptation of Tarzan throughout her career as a theatrical actor. In 2017, she appeared on the television game show To Tell the Truth when she was identified as one of the Pink Ladies from the musical Grease. Jamie is a California-based acting instructor at the moment. Dinah Manoff as Marty Maricino. In addition to playing Elaine Dallas in the Broadway musical Grease, Dinah was also a cast member of the ABC comedy Soap. She rose to fame in the 1980s as an actor thanks to her parts as Elaine, Marty, Tony Award-winning Libby Tucker in I Ought to Be in Pictures, and Carol Weston in Empty Nest. Dinah appeared in movies such as Chucky, Ordinary People, Welcome Home, and Roxy Carmichael throughout the 1980s and 1990s. Following the latter, she concentrated more on television parts, and she directed episodes of Sabrina the Teenage Witch and Empty Nest. After starring in the 2004 Oscar Wilde homage documentary and the 2001 film The Amati Girls, she took a 5-year hiatus from the business. In 2009, Dinah made a comeback with her roles in 2 episodes of Lose Yourself and Bart Got a Room. Annette Charles as Charlene Cha-Cha Di Gregorio. In Grease, Annette Charles is remembered for portraying Charlene Cha-Cha Di Gregorio. She starred in TV shows such as The Flying Nun, Gunsmoke, Bonanza, The Bionic Woman, and Sentinel before appearing in the movie. She appeared in a few TV shows, including The Incredible Hulk and Magnum P.I. after Grease, and she also had parts in the movies Latino and In Search of the Historical Jesus in the 1980s and 1990s. Annette has a master's degree in social work and a bachelor's degree in psychology and theater. She subsequently joined the California State University Northridge faculty as a speech communication professor. Charles, who was 63 years old, passed away in 2011 due to lung cancer. Michael Tucci as Sonny Lettieri. Being Sonny Lettieri in Grease when he was a member of the T-Birds is one of his most well-known roles. He continued his career on stage, in movies and television shows after playing Sonny. In the 1980s, he appeared on television shows like The Paper Chase and It's Garry Shandling's Show. In addition, Michael Tucci played the role of Amos in the musical Chicago for almost 3 years. In addition, he played the Green Apple in the Broadway play Destination and performed in several more Broadway shows. He appeared in the comedic movie The Heat and the television show Diagnosis Murder. In addition to his acting career, Tucci taught and served as a theater coach at St. Francis High School in California. There, he oversaw the production of the play We're the Millers, which featured George Delchik and Stanko Zovak. Kelly Ward as Putsy. He co-starred with John Travolta on the set of the television movie The Boy in the Plastic Bubble, which was one of his first on-screen roles. The role he is most known for is Putsy from the musical Grease. Following Grease, Kelly Ward starred in movies like The Big Red One and TV series like MASH and Magnum. After that, he gave up acting but carried on working in the entertainment sector. He co-wrote and co-produced All Dogs Go to Heaven 2 and the animated film Once Upon a Forest. Currently employed at Disney Television Animation, he directs voice acting for many animated series, including Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, Star vs. the Forces of Evil, Trolls and Jake, and the Neverland Pirates. Kelly is also a musical theater instructor at the University of Southern California.
If you've watched the video till here, that means you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notifications bell icon